The next step will be to find this panel bed steel mechanism box. There's some parts in there, there's some hardware in there that we're going to need next. So I'll open this up and pull out the hardware that I need. Okay, I've got the mechanism box open. I've laid out the parts here so you can see. There's a couple of lifting mechanisms. There's a right and a left. There's some covers that will ultimately go around the lifting mechanism, and there's two of them. I'm just going to set those aside. We won't need those till quite a bit later. There's a package of springs, and there's a cluster hardware pack, and kind of a tube, metal tube that's used for loading the springs here in a minute. So I'm going to set that aside as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with these lifting mechanisms, and like I said, there's a left and a right, and so we'll want to make sure you get oriented properly on that. So I'm going to move down here. I'm going to go ahead and set this mechanism in place, and you're going to notice that there's two larger holes here on this sideboard, and then there's two larger ones to the back, and they correspond with the holes on the back of this metal plate, this lifting mechanism, and there's two holes up here that will correspond with these holes. And so I'm going to set it like this. Notice how I've got this oriented where the arm is toward the front here, and the arm is kind of pointing away from the bottom of this lifting mechanism. And you'll see that they line up there with those holes in the panel. Now from the cluster pack, that cluster pack number 2, I have found some essentially 1.5-inch machine screws that are tapered with an Allen head and some 13mm nylock nuts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip the the machine screw up through the bottom. I'm going to kind of hold that in place, up through the hole and into the mechanism plate. I'll kind of hold that in place. Go to the next one here. And then I'm going to go to what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just thread just loosely some of these 13mm nuts so that it holds it in place. Then I'll grab another 1.5-inch machine screw and 13mm nut, and a second 1.5-inch machine screw, but without the nut. Now I'm going to go to the front side of this, and I'm going to kind of tip that up so I can see what I'm doing. I'll go ahead and slip this one through, and it goes right through that hole in the front. There, I can just lightly thread on another nylock nut there. And this fourth hole, it has kind of the top of this plate, it has kind of a collar, kind of a sleeve and a collar, and it's threaded. And so this last one I'm just going to thread in, and it will catch the threads in that mounting plate. And then again from the cluster pack, there's an Allen wrench. I'm going to grab that Allen wrench and kind of tighten these up. Now I am going to tighten these until the surface of this machine screw is about flush. Not quite, it protrudes a little bit, but you can see there on the video that I'm tightening that down until it's just about flush, protrudes a little bit. And then not included in the hardware that comes, you're going to need a 13mm socket. And I'm going to go ahead and tighten up the rest of these. I'll use this Allen wrench as needed to kind of hold this side as I tighten them. And I will then go to the other side and repeat this process until I have all these nice and tight. I'm using the Allen wrench here to tighten this one because it's a little bit of a tight fit with that plate in the way. Just going to work my way around, tighten all these down, and then go repeat the process on the other side.